This is a Space Marines Razorback box, but I plan to build it as a Space Marines Rhino. Most people wouldn't build this as a Rhino because Rhinos aren't super good in game. They're just kind of there, kind of middle ground tank or vehicle. But I'm building it as a Rhino because I realized that not only can I paint this green and use it in my Dark Angels army, or just my general Space Marines army that I'm hoping to turn more into Dark Angels, but I can also paint it green and use it for my Custodes as an Anthema Psychana Rhino, because I usually paint all my Custodes and my Sisters of Silence with green stuff as well. One of the options you have when building a Rhino is you can have a Space Marine popping out of the top of it holding a gun, but I plan on replacing that with a Anthema Psychana, or a Sister of Silence, doing a similar thing. But I kind of still want it to be able to be used in my Space Marines army. I want it to be used in either army, so I think I'm going to magnetize that option so I can switch it out depending on which army I'm playing it as. Now, I also, with the rest of this box that I'm not putting on top of the tank, I plan to make their capes actually purple and use them as sort of the Sisters of Silence equivalent of the Night Watch Custodes, and have them also with these hooded helmet bits instead of their current heads. The majority of the Rhino built. There's still a few things that I haven't glued in because I'm not sure if I want to have like this hatch kind of half open or not. I'm wondering if I could like put a pin through there so that I could open it. But this guy, I'm not even sure that I'll need to magnetize it. I probably will anyways, just to be safe, but he seems to fit in there pretty well just with how it's designed. Luckily enough, this kit actually comes with a second little ring to go on there, so I don't even have to magnetize it to this little base piece. So now, I just have to use this and get a torso similar to this style onto this extra ring we have. Also going to check out my bits box for any additional Sisters of Silence bits, like torsos, so that I can see if I can try to get a spare one out of this while still keeping all 5. But if I can't, I can just sacrifice one of them. Now that I actually have my bit box in front of me and realizing how many extra Custodes bits I have, I've just started gluing on a bunch of spare Custodes bits like these Misericordia. I've decided that I am going to have this open so that I have these visible. I also have this shield on the side panel, which I think looks really cool. But now I'm realizing that it's starting to look a lot more like a Custodes vehicle than a Space Marines one. It might seem a little bit out of place in the Space Marines army. So I think I'll just paint this Space Marine that's coming out of the top. I'll just paint him as a Blood Raven, and that should explain it thematically. Now that I've got it all built, it's time to paint it. First, I primed it and then I airbrushed it green. All of the parts that I want to be metallic, I picked out with some silver paint. All of the parts that I want to remain as silver, I use some Nuln Oil on, and all of those golden parts, I just use a yellowish-brown contrast paint. I like using yellow-brown contrast paint instead of just starting with a gold paint, as I feel like it just looks a little bit better, and it does a lot of the shading for me. Next I use this skeleton bone to pick out a lot of the details. I really like the name skeleton bone because it's absurdly redundant. I also use this same color paint for the pauldrons on my Blood Raven. Then I took some green paint and tried to pick out the eyes. This was a little bit difficult, seeing as the paint was a little bit too thin and not a great color to go over red. Now I do some edge highlighting. Since I used a contrast paint to airbrush this, it doesn't really do a ton, but it's the thought that counts. Now it's time to add these little decals all over the tank. I don't have a watercolor decal or transfer for the Blood Ravens logo, so I tried to freehand it at first, and I didn't really use a reference image. I'm pretty sure I remember what it looks like. And once I'm about halfway through, I realized that I do not know what it looks like and completely give up on that. I think I can substitute in a different transfer and just kind of alter it. And now the whole tank is complete. And I can always swap out the person up top.